Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? Today is February the 27th, and we're going to be talking about the timestamp and gap code. The last few days we've gone over the basics, and the last 2 days we have gone over the clues and why they are so important for us to be able to understand the timestamp and gap code. Yesterday, with the clues that we were talking about, we just talked a little bit about how POTUS Trump tweets and then retweets and deletes tweets. We talked about how he misspells words. And these are all part of the clues. Now let's talk a little bit more about how we can use the clues in plain sight with most people not being able to see the clues. Once you start getting and using your brain, like any other muscle in your body, it becomes stronger. When we are working out with our biceps, when we go and lift something at work, it becomes very easy because we have trained. We don't even realize that we're lifting something heavy. And this is the same thing with our brain. We must train our brain to be used as a muscle. Repetitive thought process results in action. Sometimes we use negative, sometimes we use positive reinforcement. So once again, let's go back and talk about the clues. When you start to see POTUS Trump's tweets and you are looking for clues, you can find them. Let's go ahead and just, every one of these that I'm going to use right now is just an example, just to plant seeds so that your head can expand and grow, so that when you look at them on your own, you have no preconceived conceptions from me. It will be your own interpretation, okay? As we move forward, once again, these examples are made up. So let's say POTUS Trump has done a stringer of 5 or 6 tweets today. And on his next tweet, the 7th tweet, he is doing and talking about something that's very relevant. But he says, in a capital letters, it will say, go back. Or let's say it will have in a capital letter, let's just say the word witch hunt. Okay? So what I will do is I will see that as a clue. And I will go back and look through the tweets of that day, and I will see if I see any other tweet that says witch hunt. And if I do, I will find the gap between those 2 tweets as the hidden message. Sometimes it might be a little bit trickier, and the witch hunt isn't on that same day, it is on the day before, hidden in the middle of the tweets of yesterday. So you see how the clues are there, but if you're not aware of them, it's completely oblivious. Even some of you that are listening to this for the first time, or maybe even for the 100th time, you still might not really believe that those are hidden messages. And that's okay. We're all going to be going forward. We are going to be going together. We're in this world together. We're in a handbasket. One way or the other, we're going to be all going together, either into prosperity or into confusion and darkness. There is no change with where we go one, we go all. That has been the case since the beginning of time. What we're doing now, though, is that we're being aware of that fact, and that we want the majority of the people in the world to be thinking positively, understanding that God has a plan for us, and that we can pray and make the world a better place. This is the whole meaning of where we go one, we go all. Thought process and thought mind control is so very important. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, go ask the deep state CIA, go ask the deep state FBI, go ask the deep state government if they use mind control techniques. Ask them if they study hypnosis. Ask them if they study out-of-body travel. Ask them if they're able to brainwash the masses. So if you have to ask yourself any one of those questions, you might be a victim of the deep state. You have a very powerful brain. Q is trying to, and not only trying to, he has succeeded in showing many, many, many of us around the world how smart we are. Some of us knew it, but we couldn't prove it to anyone. Some of us couldn't even prove it to ourselves. I'm a prime example of that. I have shot for the moon my whole entire life and have landed flat on my face. I thank God for it every single time now. But since Q has come along, he has given me a focus. It has allowed my brain to shine. It has allowed myself to test myself in ways that were never available to me before without my knowledge. It had always been there, but I just didn't know, if this makes sense. So don't you worry about being advanced in Q knowledge. Don't you worry about being behind in Q knowledge. Don't be worried about even knowing what Q is about. Okay? The biggest thing is that you're listening to yourself, that you're thinking for self, that you're seeing things differently. And now that we are starting to look for clues when Twitter tweets and in Q drops, we can now see the clues in our MSN, in our news medias, right? We can now see the clues in the brainwashing in our TV commercials. We can now see the clues that are just everywhere. Walk down the street and start looking at the buildings. How many Ys, how many owls, how many of the deep state little secrets do you see on these buildings? Go walking in your park and look at the monuments. Start really looking at things, and you're going to see the clues, and those clues were there for the deep state. We are now exposing their clues and using it against them. So God bless you, Patriots, because God talks in clues. If God was able to just come down, and he can, but if he just came down here and showed you the answer and showed you the proof that he exists, would you change your life? Or is it a process for you to understand to get there so that your mind and eyes open up slowly and on their own? Because you have to decide to see it. I hope you all see the signs and the glory of God and Jesus like I have been able to, because Jesus has blessed me tremendously. God bless you, Patriots. We'll get to more lessons later. Look for clues.